This is the Persistence of Vision podcast.
Monica, hi.
Hey, Clint.
Okay, so I'm excited about having you on the
Yeah.
podcast because we've known each other almost 8 years now,
How's it been
believe it or
8
not.
years? Oh
Yes.
my God.
So for the listeners, Monica and I have been working together on short films since 2017 when she helped me as first AD on a short film I did called Big and Tall, a little
Yeah.
fun, family-friendly adventure story about two friends that go off in search of Bigfoot. So just how would you introduce yourself, Monica? Tell us who you are and kind of what you do in your specialty.
Well, I am Monica O'Donnelly Summerfield, and I have been on our local independent film scene here in Memphis, Tennessee for, oh my gosh, 20 years. It's been 20 years. And I've worked a wide variety of productions, and I hustled my way in and I worked myself up to mostly first AD. I also do a radio morning show here for an internet radio station.
Yeah, so you're gonna teach me a lot about how to host a show. And
Oh, I am? Oh, no.
since I'm new to the whole podcasting thing, trying to figure this out. But we were talking right before we started recording, just kind of our shared experiences and kind of what I'm going for with this podcast and these conversations about telling these stories from a filmmaker's point of view, video production, anyone that's been on set, telling
Right.
these stories about mistakes we've made or things that have gone off the rails and how we've recovered, but then turning all of that around and making some sort of life application to it. In your mind, generally speaking, what kind of overall life skills does that give a person?
Well, I mean, we're coming together with an end goal, right? So you're taking something on a flat piece of paper and you're creating this world to capture it on film and then put it back up on a flat screen. And in that process, the crew, the actors, everybody, like, you become this family because you're working together. It's just like if you worked in an office, you have a work wife, you have your work family because you're working together every day and you've gotten to know each other also in that time. And in filmmaking, you're all working right there with each other. There's not like any cubicles to go to or no one can go to their rooms, for time out. That's our job. And we're tight knit and we're
Mhm.
up on each other and we have to work in tandem to all for the end goal. We're all there to finish this film and get it recorded. Like that's all our goal. And we each bring something to the table in all the different departments. And we have to work in tandem and work together and be able to problem solve together and persevere to get it done. And I think
Mhm.
that is, in essence, what we have to do when we get up and walk out of our door every single day, whether it be with your work family, your family, or just even people out in the world. We're all trusting each other on the road when we're driving, stuff like that.
Yeah, so a mutual friend of ours, Rob Rock, who I
Yes.
also have already had on the show.
Okay.
He likened it to this shared traumatic experience.
Okay,
I
yeah.
know I know the word trauma is a negative word, but
Right, but
it's like,
yeah.
but you come out of that whole process because you are so close.
Right.
Working together on a common goal, like you said, you do come out of
Right.
it with there is a little bit of shared trauma.
No, there
Um,
is. Yeah, you've shared
that
an experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that brings people closer together than probably you would ordinarily get in just an everyday cubicle job,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're so much on top of each other. I do think that on a small scale, we've learned a little bit about these types of problems to overcome, these types of situations that we're all thrust into to try and work together that can give us
Right.
some perspective, I think, on, you know, persisting.
For sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just take away the fact that you can go and hide in a cubicle. We are right up on each other. Like,
Mm,
so yeah. And it's the whole thing is a shared experience. It's even if there's a problem or something happens that doesn't affect one department, if they're right there with us, they see it all happen. So everybody is sharing all of the experiences.
Yeah, yeah. There's a sense of collaboration too that you just don't find in a lot of other art forms.
No, yeah.
I realize, of course, that filmmaking is as much a business as it is an art form. But I forget who it was. I wish I could credit the person who I heard this from. But I heard that if you want to, if you want to have sole control, sole ownership, and just answerable to no one, then go off and be a writer, be an author.
Right.
But something there with filmmaking, when you come into this, you have to have this attitude of, okay, I have to be open to input and other people's ideas. And
Right.
that's why I've always tried to approach it. Yeah, I mean, I have an idea of what I want,
Right.
but I'm always going to be open to listening to what others have to say as well. So I'm curious, as we were talking prior to recording, I know you sent me an email
Mm-hmm.
before our episode today, and
Uh-huh.
we're thinking about some situations that
Uh-huh.
of your own experiences working in the film community. So I just maybe wanted to start off with anything that that you can think of on your experiences where, because everybody loves a good on-set nightmare story, I think.
Yeah, I have a few.
Yeah.
I
So
definitely do.
yes, I'm wondering if you could take us through, something that really springs to mind that's kind of, in the forefront that you have been thinking about
Mhm.
that can kind of speak to what we're talking about.
Well, as far as nightmare scenarios go, every time like somebody asks that question or it comes up, or I even hear other people maybe at a networking event talking about a nightmare situation, I am immediately taken back to the one project that I AD'd on that had no script and therefore no shot list. And that was a first. And that was it I mean, from the actor standpoint and watching the actors, you really would not have known that there was no script. I mean, I can give it up for that. At least the director and writer and the man who wanted to do this project, he did get together with them, and I don't know how he did it, but you would have thought while on set watching the actors, you would have thought they had a script, but they didn't. So I will say it it only caused a few little issues with time when, like, if the actors, were getting hung up on something, maybe, because there's no script, it's not like they can just go line,
Yeah.
and then get the line and then pick up from there. So I will give it up to that. I was expecting it to be a complete nightmare from an acting point of view because how do you do this without a script? Like, I just don't understand that. My brain was not computing that. But so yay for that, right? But as far as crew goes, that it created a world of issues.
Mm,
That, from we had locations and we had a great art department. And so they in essence knew what we were going to shoot, and he spoke to them directly and gave them good information. So really all we knew is where we were going to be and the start time and the stop time, so I could schedule meals. And then I got to walk through them, so at least I kind of had an idea of where I was going to set all the department heads up, wardrobe, makeup, etc., based on where I saw that we were shooting. So there was a lot of that. But when it comes time to filming, it just created a lot of problems for the crew itself. And then that ate up a lot of time as far as um, they're walking into it blind.
mm,
And so where they're setting everything up starts from the moment we had to meet in each set of the location. And basically it was like we were brand new every time. So as far as having a well-oiled machine, it just was impossible because with each new, all right, we grabbed this office scene. Now we're using a different space in the same location, but a different office. Okay, so we had to break that down and then we couldn't set up ahead of time because we didn't know. So it was set by set,
mm,
scene by scene. And that just ate up a lot of time and just caused cause problems. When you're not a well-oiled machine, there's a lot of frustration I learned. Um, from being the first AD, I'm watching like the crew get frustrated because
Yeah.
they didn't know and they couldn't set up. And so here we are working longer. It's taking more time. And it was very crippling. And then people are being snappy. And
Mhm.
I I had not run into that particular scenario before. So I'm just trying to like make it all better, but I'm also getting pulled in a bunch of different, directions and
Mhm.
trying to stay on top of everything. It
And
just
this was
made it really hard. And I came on, they needed to do reshoots. So I came on for a little over a week. We reshot for a little over a week. So I missed the big bulk of this and I heard all the horror
um,
stories from it. And so just the like 9 days that I got to see it and do it, I totally understood what everybody was talking about.
yeah,
I went in determined that it was going to be different from what I had heard.
yeah,
But you're just, it's just like life. Like you don't really know how it's going to go till it's upon you. And you can say you're going to handle things a certain way. You're going to do things a certain
mhm,
way. Like if I was in this situation, I would have done this. But honestly, until you're doing it, you don't know. I feel like it was organized the best that it could be given there's no script and
yeah.
no shot list.
It's almost like the merry-go-round is already in full tilt, and you're like having to run alongside it, and then just hop on and try to hang on and not get your legs caught underneath it.
Right. Yeah. You could
Mhm,
tell that the frustrations were still sitting there unresolved. And I did run into not being taken seriously for the role
mhm,
that I was there to do. And so I had to work extra hard and take a lot of disrespect because bumping heads and bickering and having that negativity form on set does not make for a fun project. It
yeah.
does, and it doesn't get the job done. It actually slows things up, and then that negativity spreads. And so I found myself trying to keep the negativity from spreading, and I didn't see that coming. I had never, I'd never had to
Mm.
do anything like that before.
Yeah, it also speaks to like this idea that we can come into a situation with the best intentions. Like you said that you had heard a little bit about the
Uh-huh.
frustrations, a little bit about the dysfunction or the lack of a script, lack of a shot list, and so y- we all come into the situations thinking, "Oh, I can be the difference maker."
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, like
they're gonna like
yeah,
me. Yeah.
I'm gonna put my stamp on it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you get into a situation, you realize just how hard it is to turn the ship when it's already
Yes.
gone off in one direction.
Yes.
I've been in situations like that where I've got ideas to make things more efficient, to elevate the work, and
Mhm.
then you realize, oh, there's a lot more that's already
Yeah.
this train is moving now, and like I'm only like one cog now, and I'm like I'm not equipped well enough to make that change happen. You sometimes just kind of have to ride it out. Like you kind of have there's an idea of this acceptance of the situation. Well, I'm in it now, and
Yeah.
this is
Ye
what it is. I've got to make the best of it.
For sure, and I found myself doing it. Like, I couldn't get upset about, the fact that I'm walking right behind my DP and, my key grip, and one is frustrated and airing frustrations about how we don't know what we're doing next. It's really
Mhm.
bothering him that we don't know what we're doing next. And and so he's expressing that to the DP and he's like, "Well," and I just heard their conversation and it came up about well, we don't have an AD. And I'm walking right behind them.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
like, "Wait, and so, like, I waited till we got to the actual, set, and so I waited till we got actually in the room, and I just took a breath, and I just said, "Hey, what can we do? Like, is there anything at all? I mean, we've got hands. I'm right here. I hear your frustration, and I'm trying to
Right.
get through this too. but like what is it that we can do? And so then he said, well, and then he just kind of took it down a tone. Like he realized, okay, I'm really frustrated and I don't mean to take it out on these people. We're all just trying to work. Like I sensed that, and he took a breath, and then he said, just, basically the answer was to do what we were already about to do, which is just meet at the location and meet at the set and figure it out and go from there. And I'm like, okay. So then I realized they just wanted to gripe.
There is nothing quite like the onset experience that thrusts you into this never-ending avalanche of problem solving that when just constantly things are coming up and you're
Right.
having to put out fires or solve a problem or answer a question or make a decision. And I don't know, the experiences that I've had in
Hmm.
that world, I think have really helped me just in life in general
Yes.
from this standpoint of problem solving and
Right.
figuring things out, and how, like you were saying, when the team was trying to get together, yes, sometimes you need to gripe, you have to get it out, but there's
Right.
always got to be this tale of, okay, now what's the solution? What are you offering up
Right.
to solve the problem?
Right.
Because we can all do a lot of complaining about a lot of things,
For sure.
and it's like here, but then what solutions are you bringing to the table as well?
Oh, for sure. And it does that is what life is about, because like life is a constant, like you said, an avalanche of problems. Like there's stuff all the time. And I do I will say that filmmaking and having to problem solve on your feet like that, because they come up and you've got to solve them fast, like we might not have to necessarily do that out in the world for things that come up. Um, you might have a little longer to think about them, Um, but yeah, no, I really do think that that's just a good overall life experience to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah,
and
and that there's that constant, you can just feel when you're on set, you can feel that constant drumbeat of time
right,
a lot more acutely, that
definitely.
as you're standing around trying to figure things out, like you can just feel it kind of always around you over your shoulder, like we are losing time. And
Right,
so
like, yeah, like,
yeah.
okay, that's definitely been a hard 10 minutes, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, the walls start closing in for some reason. And then everybody's starting to just like, okay. And then you can feel their emotions
Mhm.
weigh on it. So now you're not only losing time, but you can feel people's energies.
There's this level of empathy I think that you get from
Hmm.
working in close proximity like that on something like a film set.
Definitely. It taught me a lot, it
Yeah.
it does to a sense teach you, and these are skills you can take out into the world, like
Sure.
how to deal with difficult coworkers,
Yeah.
how, reading the room.
Yeah.
If I couldn't, I'm pretty good read. I feel like I've always been able to do that. But man, if I hadn't ever been able to do that before, I would have learned it for sure.
I believe that there's so many leadership lessons to be learned from working in
Mhm.
that world, because here you come in dealing with a group of people that have been through something together. You're coming into a situation that a lot of people come into, regardless of their
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
You're the new person where maybe there's a lot of cynicism that's been built up over the years for whatever reason. And there's a lot of jaded people, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that have been hurt or disrespected. And you're coming in having to figure that out and having to, work with these folks and have make some sort of significant impact. So
Yeah.
there's a lot I think to draw from that is real world applicable too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like if not having a script and a shot list wasn't crippling enough, what you just like coming into the cynicism was
Yeah.
even more crippling. And it's like, look, guys, we're just trying to get this done, and so and just like it's just like being out in the world, like when you're all standing in a line at the DMV, it's not moving, and everybody starts getting cranky, but like you're
Yeah.
all like, come on, y'all, hold it together. Like we're all
Yes.
in this together. We're gonna get through this line. Just nobody lose they're cool and cause more drama that's going to cost us more time, or get us kicked out of here. Like, just everybody be cool. Let's just breathe, like it's the same kind of thing. So like there's a
Right.
bunch, yeah.
So for people who don't know, tell
Uh-huh.
us tell us about the role of the first AD. What is that role responsible for usually?
Oh, it's a first assistant director, and you're pretty much the buffer. It was told to me one time that you're pretty much the AD is the buffer between the director and the rest of the crew. So like you have to know everything that they know. You have to be able to answer all the questions. You're kind of fielding things for the director. You also keep the flow of the set going. You're managing the team basically. So that frees the director up to talk with his DP and to just direct and to worry
Mhm.
about the actors and the action. So the first AD is to me, it's like a management
Yeah.
position, and like the crew is, that's the people I'm managing. And I approach it like that. And yeah, so that's the best way that I've always been
Yeah.
able to describe it.
Right. And for you specifically, what do you like about the work as a first AD?
I really like the whole management aspect of it. Like, I love everything about it. Um, the problem solving, the organization. It's like putting together this well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
I love getting in there and quickly figuring out how to build the machine. I love
Mm.
the whole process of finding the flow. And then when we find the flow or I figure it out, when I put the machine together and I've got it somewhat going, and just that whole process of figuring that out and finding that flow. I absolutely love that.
You said you've been doing this in the Memphis film scene for 20 years. So
Yes.
maybe you could take me through a little bit of kind of what you feel, what kind of persistence it takes to continue this type of work in a city like Memphis.
Well, I stumbled upon the film scene. I went to college for something completely different. I went for interior design. And I did get called out of a college class by some people that were here when they were still filming major motion pictures here, because Memphis had a major motion picture scene, especially back in the late the 80s and the 90s. We had a good film incentive here. So Warner Brothers had their office here. Paramount had an office here. The major players had offices here. There was work here. I knew nothing about it. I'm in college going for interior design. So I get called out of my class by these people. We didn't even know who they were, and they happened to be casting. They were casting for John Grisham's The Rainmaker. And so me and two other friends, girls from the class, we got pulled out, and they asked us if we wanted to, read for our part, and they explained who they were. And I was just like, wait, what? Y'all make movies here? I had no idea. I'm at the University of Memphis having no idea there's a film department, for goodness sakes. But so that was my introduction, and I fell in love with it. But then, fast forward, things kind of dried up. And I just went on about life as an interior designer. And, I'm getting married, I'm starting a family. So I'm staying home. I wanted to stay at home with my daughter while she was young. And then I was losing my mind and needed to get out and do something creative. And this is the day of MySpace. And I happened to stumble upon a call for extras. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're still doing stuff like that here. Yay. But that's when I applied, and that's when I found it was the independent scene. And it was
Mm.
explained to me that the major motion picture scene, the incentive got taken away. And so they packed up and they went home. And here were all these beautiful people that were left over that couldn't just pack up and go. They're not going to take our whole film scene workers with them. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, okay, it was fun. Bye. And they did. So I found this group. I found the independent scene, and I fell in love with it. And I started off acting, and I was like, I want to be a part of this. So my persistence was just like that networking and showing up. And that's really how I got in.
Mhm.
And that took a lot of persistence. And I wasn't always taken seriously because I didn't go to film school with all these people. So I could have let that got me down, And I could have just thrown my hands up and said, oh, well, I'm not one of them because I didn't go to school and these people are giving me a hard time. But I was like, no, I love doing this. So it just became a matter of just persevering. Like I had to really persevere and push through a lot of trials and tribulations and not being taken seriously and not being respected while trying to get the on-set experience, trying to learn from these people who really weren't always that accepting of me at first.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about what you're doing at Radio Memphis to kind of plug your show there. And so that way I can kind of hopefully send some folks your way.
So it's an internet radio station, and it's a hidden gem here in Memphis. A lot of the artists, a lot of our film people have been on the show because they do
Yep.
interviews. They support all locals of all mediums. Anytime anybody needs a platform to promote something, they'll come. If they know about us, they'll come. And I found a need to fill for them, which at the time was just, we need some more traction to our website. Can you help with social media? I was like, you know what? Yes, I can. So I got in that way. I helped get more traction to the website. And the next thing you know, I'm being asked if I will be a part of the Radio Memphis in the Morning show.
Mm.
And I said, sure. And so I got in that way, and we've created a following.
Yeah. Where can people go to listen to the show?
Yeah, the easiest way to find us is radio-memphis.com. And you can find us on all social medias as Radio Memphis, but our website again is radio-memphis.com.
Yeah. I think the more people I talk to that are in a creative field, whatever it may be, and I feel the same way, and I'm sure you do as well, but listening to you talk about your experiences and now what you're doing with Radio Memphis, for creative people, there's always just this need to be making something,
Yes.
and for me, it's writing and sharing my short stories, and now it's expanding into this podcast that I'm going to try because
Right.
I'm a creative person and I want to make something.
Yeah,
And we never know if anything is ever going to come of it.
right.
As you were saying, to show up and to just make things and to put yourself out there just little by little. And even if nothing ever comes of it, there's that personal satisfaction of doing something because you enjoy doing it.
No, for sure. And you get these really neat experiences that you get to tell stories about later. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, you're living while you're living because you're being creative. You're making these experiences. You're taking those chances. You're doing it. Even if like no grand thing comes beyond that, you still have that experience. And that experience to me was pretty cool.
This has been great, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I was thrilled. Yeah, thank you.
And what I want to do is, I know you've got more stories to share, so I would love to circle back around at some point, have you back on to tell more, share more about your experiences.
Yeah, I would love that. Absolutely.
Okay, so Monica, thank you so much for coming on the show. You can
Yeah.
listen to her at Radio Memphis, radio-memphis.com.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you
Thanks,
so
Monica.
much.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Monica is such a fantastic collaborator, and I've really enjoyed working with her over the years, and I'm so thankful that she took the time out to join me on the podcast today. As always, you can subscribe to my newsletter on Substack at clinttill.substack.com. You can find everything I'm doing at linktree.com/clinttill. Please be sure to leave a review of this podcast, share it with others. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I'm also very active on X at Clint Till, so be sure to check me out there. And as always, you can find my work at clinttill.net. I'm Clint Till. This is Persistence of Vision.